We're back for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and we've got predictions for all 4 games. We are now down to 8. One of these 8 teams will be the Super Bowl champions here in 2025 and 2026. Are the Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos, San Francisco 49ers, Seattle Seahawks, Houston Texans, New England Patriots, Los Angeles Rams, or Chicago Bears will win the entire thing this year. After an interesting wild card round, again, we are down to these 8. My pick to win the Super Bowl is no longer in the dance. That would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. But you know what? I always said and thought the winner of Bills-Jaguars was going to go fairly far, and we'll get into the Bills in just a moment. But folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NFL content here on the channel. We are going from doing the best bets and best player props and combining that into one video now, with there only being 4 games. So on Friday, we're just going to have our 5 best bets. That's going to have both money lines and spreads and player props, and we're going to continue to do so for next week and for the conference championship round, and then of course for the Super Bowl. Again, on the channel daily, our college basketball and NBA best bets, so go make sure to check those out every morning here on the channel. As we now get on to the first of our 4 games, national championship game, by the way, prediction between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Miami Hurricanes will be tomorrow. So here we go. The divisional round predictions, kicking things off up at Mile High, Denver, Colorado. We've got the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos. The 6th seeded Bills go on the road to Denver, and I've been thinking this now for a while, and even with my Jaguars prediction to win the Super Bowl, I had been saying this entire thing has kind of felt like Josh Allen's to lose. By far the best quarterback left in the field, the player who has the most expectation, I think, in this postseason, even though his team did not win their division, even though his team was a wild card. I always felt like the Bills had the most expectation in this postseason, and it's not because of the team that they have. I mean, I still believe that the Jaguars had a better offense. I believe they had a better defense and a better special teams unit. The only 2 spots where they didn't have Buffalo beat was with the quarterback, and I like Trevor Lawrence, but obviously Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the NFL. Josh Allen and the running game, obviously, with James Cook. And hell, the Bills' run game was pretty much, bottled up the entire game by the Jaguars. It was just the clutch play out of Josh Allen. It was the balls downfield to Brandon Cooks, who again is his number 1 receiver. Brandon Cooks, same guy who was Drew Brees' number 1 receiver, same guy who was Tom Brady's number 1 receiver, hell, Jared Goff's number 1 receiver in Los Angeles. That Brandon Cooks is still, producing. And credit to Brandon Cooks for doing what he's doing, but a lot of that is just Josh Allen. So the Bills find themselves now on the road against the best defense in the NFL. I don't really think that matters because, guys, look at what they did last week against a really good defense in Jacksonville. I believe the 4 best defenses in football, I don't want to rank them, by far are Seattle, Jacksonville, this is in no order, Seattle, Jacksonville, Houston, and Denver. I don't know how you want to rank them. If I had to, I'd probably go Denver 1, Seattle 2, Houston 3, Jacksonville 4. Houston's pretty good too. I don't know. Again, those are by far, though, the 4 best defenses in the NFL. Buffalo's going to get another one of them this week. They could potentially take on the Texans next week before Seattle in the Super Bowl itself. I mean, this could be a monstrous run the Bills are going to have to go through in order to win their first Lombardi trophy, and for Josh Allen to finally win his first Lombardi trophy. I'll tell you, so I think they're going to be the Broncos. I think they're going to. Denver, with the week off going into this game, I mean, this is not like college football where the bye teams obviously are at a massive disadvantage. At least that's what the media perceives it to be. I don't know if that's always the case. Obviously, we know in college football, the bye teams are 1-7 now, with the Indiana Hoosiers only being that exception. Obviously, they're playing in the national championship game on Monday in Miami. But the 1-week bye for NFL teams does not really affect things. We've seen teams with byes, obviously. For the most part, actually, the teams with byes usually make the Super Bowl, at least back when it was the 6-team format with 1 and 2 getting byes into the divisional round. I think the Bills are going to beat the Broncos, though. I don't know, man. In a playoff game, do you trust Bo Nix? I love the defense. The defense is phenomenal. It's one of the best defenses in the NFL. I mean, the name value on this defense and the players on this defense that have made big plays after big plays all year long. I mean, we're looking at Benito. I mean, Alex Singleton's been great. It looks like Dre Greenlaw is going to play this week. The secondary with Pat Surtain, Talanoa Hufanga, 2 All-Pros this season. I'll tell you one thing, though, I'm concerned about with Denver. It's Riley Moss. The secondary is great. Surtain's best corner in football. Talanoa Hufanga might be the best strong safety in football. Riley Moss is going to have to, I mean, it's not like, again, Riley Moss is squaring off against some elite talent at receiver. He's probably going to be matched up with, Brandon Cooks or Keon Coleman. Yet Josh Allen makes his receivers look very good. I mean, this is like a whole other Tom Brady type situation where Tom Brady was making Danny Amendola look like a superstar and Chris Hogan look like a star. That's just what Josh Allen does. Josh Allen is going to fit the ball into tight windows. Josh Allen has stepped up in the postseason, at least this year he has, and the whole mystique about Josh Allen not being able to win road games, well, that's gone. He went to Jacksonville, went to Duval County, and beat the Jaguars, in my opinion, was the best team in the playoffs. Buffalo goes in there, and Josh Allen goes in there and wins. I'm not really too concerned about him going to Denver and winning. I know, again, Denver's a tough place to play. It's at elevation. That stadium gets loud. I understand. I think Josh Allen is going to pick on Riley Moss a lot this game. We saw, again, the Bills have a lot of success in the past game. Josh Allen barely threw incompletions, and when the Bills needed it most against Jacksonville, they worked the ball downfield. They win the game 27-24. Allen goes 28 of 35 passing. The tush push, or obviously the snow plow they called in Buffalo, was absolutely massive for the Bills. Allen, 11 carries, 33 yards, the biggest of which, though, I think is that 4th and 1 conversion where Allen doesn't just get 1 yard. No, he gets 9 to get the Bills down to the 1 yard line. And again, the Bills defense made some plays. I thought Lawrence played phenomenally well. I think the first interception obviously was on him. The second one, not really. I mean, that was just a great play by the defender. Ball could have been caught. It is what it is. But Buffalo's defense stepped up, and that was the thing that I was always concerned about with this playoff run for the Bills was what the hell they're gonna do defensively. Because I've seen this defense get chewed up so many times. Guys, Denver is not the team we're too concerned about that with, though. And I'll say this, guys, there's not another offense in the AFC that I'm really concerned about this Bills defense with. Jacksonville was that team. Is there another team left in the AFC you look at and say, oh, this offense is going to shred them? With all due respect to the Patriots, I don't know if that's the case. I like the Patriots. I like Drake May. I think Drake May should and is deserving of the Most Valuable Player award. I've seen Buffalo beat that team before. I'm not too concerned about that offense. I'm certainly not. I mean, Houston's got the worst offense left in the postseason. It's not even close. Denver's offense is all right. Again, Bo Nix in a playoff game, he's 0-1. In all fairness, he had one against Buffalo last year in Orchard Park. Do we really think that offense is going to be able to score on the Bills? At least score enough to keep up with Josh Allen? That's the question you have to ask, and my answer is no. I don't think they're going to have the firepower to keep up with the Bills. I think the defense is going to keep them in the game, but at the same time, they're playing Josh Allen. And we had talked about this again. If Josh Allen doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, I don't know when he's ever going to win it. This is the easiest path Josh Allen's ever going to get to the Super Bowl. No Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. I know Burrow's really only made 2 postseason runs ever. I know Lamar's never been great in the playoffs, but you take away the other elite quarterbacks in the AFC and the MVPs in the AFC, and at least the other, Burrow obviously been to a Super Bowl, take those guys away. I mean, guys, Josh Allen's competition right now is Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, and Drake May. And I know, again, Drake May's had a phenomenal year, not proven like the other 3 guys I've talked about earlier. And I know, again, it's not a quarterback-specific league. I know not always does the better quarterback win, obviously. Still, though, I mean, this is Josh Allen's year. And the team he's got, I mean, I'll be honest, is not good. The run game's great, but if you have a good run defense, which Denver does, then you really put a lot on Josh Allen. Josh Allen this week's going to be throwing the football to Khalil Shakir, Brandon Cooks, Keon Coleman. I think they may get Curtis Samuel back. Yes, Samuel is returning to practice with an elbow and neck injury, but I believe that's more so they're trying to get him back for the AFC Championship game, just kind of like how the 49ers just activated or opened up the practice window for Fred Warner. If, the Niners make the NFC Championship game, then Warner will be back. The Bills lose Gabe Davis, who obviously went to Jacksonville for a season, came back to Buffalo. Gabe Davis tore his ACL in that game against Jacksonville. And then Terrell Shavers, who went out in the first or second quarters, the first half, who has stepped up quite a bit. Wearing 14 for Buffalo, he tears his ACL as well. So you lose Shavers for the rest of the season. You lose Gabe Davis for the rest of the season. You may get Curtis Samuel back, but that's looking like that's going to be for next week. I mean, it is a thin receiving core for Josh Allen, yet I still think he's going to find a way. The tight end core is great. Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, those are 2 massive targets. Josh Allen just finds a way, man, and if the Bills defense continues to step up like they did last week against Jacksonville, and I understand Trevor Lawrence had 2 big drives in the 4th quarter to put the Jaguars on top both times, and after both of those, I was like, all right, is this it? I think Jacksonville might have it now. Obviously not. I believe right now the Bills to win the Super Bowl is the best value currently in the NFL. I know I was telling you to take Jaguars to win the AFC, Jaguars to win the Super Bowl, and I 100% believed that. I think now you got to look at Buffalo. I mean, we're looking at Buffalo to win the Super Bowl at plus 600. They have the 4th highest odds. It goes Seattle, Los Angeles, Patriots, and them. And yes, the Super Bowl is going to be an obstacle for the Bills because of the offenses, because they're going to have to take on a Seattle, a Los Angeles. Hell, even the Bears and the Niners are tough outs for Buffalo, even though I'd much rather those two games for the Bills than the Rams and the Seahawks. But I still think plus 600 for the Bills to win the Super Bowl is at phenomenal value, and plus 250 for the Bills to win the AFC is phenomenal value as well. Surprisingly, the Patriots are the favorites to win the AFC, with them at plus 210, Bills at plus 250, Broncos at plus 270, and obviously the Texans, who aren't winning anything, at plus 350. Is what it is. I do believe Buffalo's at the best value by far. NFC-wise, I'll get into that in a second. I don't really love the value anywhere in the NFC. But I got to go with Buffalo to win this football game. I trust so much in Josh Allen's ability to get things done. If the run game just has a little bit of a better game this week, I think they're going to, make this look easy. And ultimately, you got to think, okay, can Bo Nix lead an offense to beat Josh Allen? It's worked for them in the regular season, but eventually these low-scoring and barely getting by games for Denver are going to run out. Unfortunately, I like the Broncos. I do. But, barely going to Kansas City and winning by one score. Going to Las Vegas and winning by one score. Going to Landover, Maryland, to D.C., winning by 1 point in overtime against the Commanders. All these close games where they're barely getting by, and that's, again, what good football teams do. Beating the Giants by 1 point. Beating the Jets by 2 points over in London. Beating the Titans by one score. And again, that's what good football teams do. 100%. They find ways to win. Unfortunately, you're not just playing the Titans. You're not just playing the Raiders. You're not just playing the Chris Aludikin Kansas City Chiefs. No, you're playing Josh Allen. Allen's beat this team before in the postseason. Obviously, the defense is even better this year. I understand. I got to go with the Bills here, guys. I got to go with the Bills. Surtain's great. Okay, what? He's just going to take away Khalil Shakir? He's going to take away Keon Coleman? Riley Moss is going to be on the field, and I'm telling you, that is going to be the difference maker. I'm going to go Buffalo Bills to win. I believe they're winning the Super Bowl now. Again, the matchup against either Seattle or Los Angeles may be tough. I'm a firm believer in what Josh Allen can do, guys. I really think it's going to be very odd if he does not win the Super Bowl this year. This just feels like it is Josh Allen's year. No Mahomes, and I'll tell you what, again, you don't want to believe in the script, but this is setting up for Allen to be the reigning Super Bowl champion next year. Mahomes is back, and then we potentially get a Chiefs-Bills AFC Championship game next year with, again, can Allen officially take the crown? Game will be in Buffalo. Just bear with me on that. I'm taking the Bills to beat the Broncos. I believe they're going to win the Super Bowl now. Bills win minus 110 at home, or on the road, in Denver, Colorado. On to our second game, we move to Lumen Field in the Pacific Northwest up in Seattle, Washington, as the Seattle Seahawks take on the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going with the Niners to cover. I think the Seahawks are going to win. I still believe the Seahawks are the most, I don't want to call them mid, but I just don't buy them being the number one team in the NFC. And that's the problem. I don't think anybody's that good in the NFC. The AFC, man, again, I just picked Buffalo to go to Denver and win. I think the Broncos are great. I think the Patriots are really good. I think Houston, if they had an elite quarterback, if they got better quarterback play at a CJ Stroud, I believe they would be really good too. I love the teams in the AFC. The NFC, oh boy, I don't know. Seattle, I think, has their clear flaws, and their clear flaws start with their quarterback. And again, we'll talk about this in a second. Do you really trust Sam Darnold to win a playoff game? He's never done it. I know you can make that case about, Bo Nix, but it's a little different, right? Darnold is a classic big game loser, in all fairness. And, he did it, in all fairness to him, he did it on the Saturday night game to win the NFC West and secure the number one seed for the Seattle Seahawks. Not like his offense did much, though. This is my point. If the Niners offense can get going, I believe the Seahawks are on upset watch. I'm taking Seattle to win the game, but the only play for me here is Niners plus 7. It's too many points. It just is. I know we just saw the game 2 weeks ago, and Seattle won 13-3. Let's not forget, if McCaffrey doesn't drop that, that 5-yard pass to get him down to the 2-yard line, that game's 13-10 with 8 minutes to go. Maybe the Niners get the football back and maybe they win. I know it's a big hypothetical, but there's just a lot of things and a lot of small things in that game that could have gone San Francisco's way and could have propelled them to get the victory. I think they looked great last week. I know Purdy makes some mistakes, but ultimately the Niners get the win 23-19. You beat the reigning champs and the Eagles, the team that I kind of was starting to trend towards thinking they were going to win the NFC. I was thinking, who's going to beat this team with their defense? And if just the offense kind of figures it out, they should win. Well, if A.J. Brown catches some balls, then maybe the Eagles win that football game. But I had been telling you all year long, A.J. Brown is a cancer to this team. A.J. Brown had continued to screw this team over. And what happened? He drops some easy passes and easy catches right in the hands from Jalen Hurts. And what does A.J. Brown do after he drops the football? Oh, yeah, he yells at his coach. And I'm not a big fan of Sirianni, but I mean, come on. Yeah, Sirianni's the problem. You're dropping passes that are right in your hands. You're an all-pro wide receiver that's getting paid millions of dollars. Catch the football. But, it's your coach's fault. It's your quarterback's fault. Same guy, by the way, who was angry and wanted to get traded after his team was 5-0, or after his team was 4-0, and was coming off a Super Bowl win. Same guy who was saying, well, if I'm washed, then Saquon's washed too. Don't start me in fantasy. What team going forward is ever going to want A.J. Brown on their football team? I mean, that's a serious question. Actually, Pittsburgh, they're used to those type of guys, with all due respect. Juju, Antonio Brown, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson. Just saying, he might be a Steeler coming up because they love locker room problems. Anyways, I know Tomlin's gone now, which is weird. But anyways, San Francisco and Seattle, do you really trust Sam Darnold to win a big football game? His defense is great. And he's got one of the best receivers in football. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Jackson Smith-Njigba is number one personally. I believe that's Puka Nacua. But obviously, JSN's phenomenal at 1,800 receiving yards in the regular season. Darnold actually posted 4,000 passing yards. My problem with Seattle, I think they're going to win this game, but I don't think they're going to cover. And if they get the Rams in the NFC Championship game, and you'll see what I have for that Rams-Bears game, if they get the Rams, I think they're losing. Even if they get the Bears, I think the Bears are going to go into Seattle and win. That might sound crazy. I would take the Bears to go into Seattle and win. I just don't trust Darnold to put together a full 60-minute football game. He makes too many mistakes. And in a big game where it actually matters, I believe Darnold is just going to make too many mistakes and Seattle is going to lose. Not this one, but I think next week. But it's the massive game he's going to play. I think they're going to barely get by the Niners. I think the defense, obviously, out of Seattle is phenomenal. I've talked about the top 4 defenses in the NFL. You can argue Seattle's number 1. They probably are. This is a phenomenal defense that shuts down everybody, for the most part, except for the Rams, which, again, we'll wait for that. We'll wait for that if we get it. I think Chicago, by the way, again, would have a lot of success on this team, too. So regardless of who it is, you're still seeing a great offense in the Bears or the Rams, obviously having to come into Seattle next week. I'm just concerned about the offense. I am. I mean, Darnold has not played that well in the last 2 weeks. Did not play that great against the Niners. Made some mistakes. His team, made some mistakes that were, I don't want to say covered up, but made some mistakes that the Seahawks bounced back from. The Seahawks just had the ball roll their way on. Did not play great in Carolina the week before. I know, again, the Seahawks want to establish that run, and that's a problem the Niners, I think, are going to have this game. But, man, the way the Niners defense looked last week, and I know Philly is an inept offense. I know Philly had struggled massively and mightily throughout the year getting anything going offensively. Hell, they played games where they won twice this year in Tampa Bay and in Buffalo, where they did not complete a single pass in the second half. Yet, I think the Niners defense played well. It was still a difficult game. They needed the Jawan Jennings go-ahead touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey to win the game for San Francisco. And again, a tough place to play, man. Not just because of the crowd and, how classy the Philly fans are, right? Definitely. No, a difficult place to play with that wind. Obviously, there was snow prior to the game, but a very windy one. Obviously, the Fox had that whole segment about Tom Brady, in the booth demonstrating how, throw a ball in the wind, which was phenomenal, by the way. And yet we got to listen to Tony Romo on CBS, who's the worst announcer in sports. He's taken the cake from Chris Collinsworth. Romo's horrible. I don't know, Jim. I can't do it. I can't. I turned Romo off last game. I watched the game in silence with the Jaguars and Bills, and I like Josh Allen. I couldn't stand the glaze, man. The Allen and Mahomes glaze from Romo, it's horrible. Anyways, I'm taking San Francisco to cover because I think the defense is going to play slightly better. And I'm watching that offense, man. Brock Purdy's playing well. I know he made some mistakes, but when it mattered, Purdy made those throws. They couldn't run the ball against Philadelphia. Can they run it against Seattle? I don't know. McCaffrey, 15 carries for 48 yards against Philadelphia, and now they're playing a defense that, again, the Philly defense is good. Yeah, Seattle's defense is even better. But in the big moments, San Francisco found ways to move the football. They were down 16-10 in the fourth quarter, and yet they found a way to win. Again, the Jawan Jennings throw to Christian McCaffrey to take the lead. Obviously, the Eagles drove right back down the field. They could not punch it in, and that was the big thing. It was bend, don't break from the San Francisco defense. Yes, the Eagles had big drives, but once they got into plus territory, they couldn't punch the ball into the red zone or into the end zone, and they couldn't get the ball fully in the red zone. I mean, they had to settle for 2 chip shot field goals from Jake Elliott in the third and fourth quarters, And what do the Niners do? While the Eagles are kicking field goals, the Niners are scoring touchdowns because obviously, right, you had the Purdy to McCaffrey throw, with 3 minutes to go to take the 4-point lead, and then Philly drives the ball down the field again. Well, you can't take a field goal anymore. Jalen Hurts throws the ball into, triple coverage, and obviously it falls incomplete, intended for Dallas Goedert. But by the way, A.J. Brown was on an island, but there's no trust in A.J. Brown anymore. Again, A.J. Brown ruined the Eagles' attempt to try to repeat as champs. And, there's also a scenario, too. I mean, if they play their starters against Washington, then that game would have been against Green Bay and not San Francisco. But that's neither here or there. The Eagles have a long offseason ahead and some decisions to make, I shall say. But good on the Niners for winning that game. I mean, there was always a response from San Francisco. Thought Purdy played well enough. Obviously, that first drive to DeMarcus Robinson, that 75-yard grab, or however the hell that was, established what the Niners were going to do, set a tone for that game. And obviously, the Eagles went right back down the field and scored right after. But Philly misses the extra point, and well, in all fairness, the Eagles scored after. Again, the Niners turned the tide, though, in the second half, and the defense played well enough. I think they can keep it close against Seattle. I refuse to believe Sam Darnold's going to really show up in this game. I think the Seahawks are going to win, but I think it's going to be a game where they just hobble across the finish line and, they win it by a field goal. And it's somewhat of a low-scoring game. I'm thinking like a 2017 final for Seattle. It's going to be one where they barely get it. It's like, all right, they're moving on, but they did not look great. That's my guess for this game. That's my prediction for this game. I'm just concerned with Darnold in a playoff game where I know he's going to be eyeing in on JSN. And I don't want to put too much into Darnold's only postseason game ever, but last year in Arizona, where they're on the road taking on the Rams in Arizona, obviously due to the fires in Los Angeles, Darnold does get sacked 9 times. Was it all his fault? No, but there were spots, again, where Darnold's holding onto the football too much. He's getting sacked. He's playing like crap. And the Vikings, who won 14 games in the regular season, lose to the 4th-seeded Los Angeles Rams, not even in L.A., but in Arizona, at a neutral site, essentially. I got to go with the Niners to cover here. I think the Seahawks will find a way to win because of that defense, but I think 7 points is way too many. I think the Niners have a chance of winning this football game, and if they do, obviously they get a lot more dangerous with Fred Warner coming back. Forgot to mention George Kittle out. That sucks. Jake Tunges, big spot for him this week. Again, Kittle, that's a really crappy injury, likely out until 2027 if he does continue to play, which I think he's going to. So give me the Niners here to cover 7 points. I think Seattle probably wins, but I would not, again, bet on anything for Seattle money line. On to our third best bet of the video, prediction of the video, third game. Patriots, Texans in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Again, postseason football is still in Massachusetts. It's still in the greater Boston area as the Patriots are at home against the Houston Texans. It's still weird to see because, I mean, we were so used to the Tom Brady era where they won, and continued to win, man. And then obviously with 5 to 6 years of no postseason football in Foxborough, now they're back and they have a legitimate chance likely to host the AFC Championship game. That's my guess. I mean, the Patriots are the favorites right now to win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, because the Bills are expected to go to Denver and win likely, and then that would create for an AFC East matchup in the AFC Championship game, and the Patriots would obviously be at home. Those two teams are 1-1 this season. However, they're taking on the Texans. The Texans are the worst team left in the playoffs. I don't care how bad Chargers-Patriots was, Texans-Steelers was worse. Yes, it was competitive through 3 quarters. Well, Chargers-Patriots was too. Guys, the Steelers, I'm not going to say they didn't belong in the postseason, but my goodness, was that bad. An inept offense in Pittsburgh for that football game. And I feel bad for the fans who had to sit through the cold and watch that one. I mean, Mike Tomlin now steps down as the head coach, obviously, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Odd scenario, guy did nothing but win. Obviously, there was no postseason success in the last 8 years in Pittsburgh, but a guy who continued to bring you winning record after winning record after winning record. I think we're actually going to see a rebuild now in Pittsburgh with likely, I don't know, a Kyler Murray as a bridge quarterback going forward because the Steelers aren't going to continue to be the Miami Heat of the NFL, and that's make the playoffs at any means necessary and likely go out in the first round. So I think we're probably going to see that winning record streak snap next year. Obviously, that's not a Mike Tomlin thing. Tomlin, it's the most obvious. He's going the Sean Payton route, 1 year of television. Expect to see him on CBS or Fox or NBC next year or ESPN, and then he'll jump right back into a coaching role with a team that desperately needs a coach. If I'm the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm hiring a coach next year and basically just give him the interim tag the entire year and wait it out for Tomlin to come to Vegas. Or, wouldn't this be funny? Tomlin ends up in Baltimore or Cleveland or, actually, no, I think I know where he's going. Zach Taylor's still the head coach of the Bengals. Zach Taylor is going to get fired next year, and it's going to be Mike Tomlin in Cincinnati. There you go. That legitimately, that's what's going to, Tomlin's going to put together a solid defense, I think, in Cincinnati. That's my guess. Anyways, Patriots, Texans. I believe the Texans are the worst team left in the postseason. And again, CJ Stroud's holding this team back. I know, again, the run game showed up huge last night from Woody Marks and hell, even Nick Chubb in spots too. The run game has not been a hot spot for the Texans this season, okay? The run game has really struggled. And by the way, Woody Marks continues his streak of getting injured in legitimately every single football game he plays, but he always comes back. Okay, trust me, as a Woody Marks fantasy owner this season, it happens every single game. Woody Marks goes down. Oh, here comes the medical team out to the field. They have to take a timeout, or obviously the TV timeout. We watch commercials, and Woody Marks is back on the sidelines. All right, he'll come back in the next drive. It happens every game. So again, just be used to that. Obviously, if you haven't watched the Texans much this season, unfortunately, the Texans are. I don't love watching the Texans play football. I'll say this, but CJ Stroud has found ways. Kind of. His defense has found ways. There's a chance Nico Collins is not playing this week. I don't think he's going to. Collins needs to be carted off the field. He is still, as of now, on Tuesday, he's questionable. It's a concussion, I think, right? But he's carted off. I don't know. If we've seen anything this year with the Texans players getting concussions, he's not playing this week. CJ Stroud was held out 3 weeks due to a concussion, and obviously a little bit different. Regular season, he's your franchise quarterback. You want to hold him out a little bit. I don't know. I don't think he's going to play. I don't think Collins is going to play this week. If anything, I don't think we see Collins to the Super Bowl. The Texans are not going to be in the Super Bowl, but that would be the earliest I think we see Collins back, because that would be like that 2.5 week time frame. So with Nico Collins out, you really lack an elite weapon at receiver for the Texans. Obviously, Stroud went to Christian Kirk a lot, and Kirk had a big game for Houston. I mean, they went to Kirk over and over and over again. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel and Xavier Hutchinson, and I guess Braxton Berrios is going to be active this week. They do have some other receivers as well, but it's going to be a lot of Christian Kirk. Get ready for a lot of Kirk this week. Tank Dell is not there's no possibility Tank Dell comes back, right? I don't think so, right? Because it was a knee. Yeah, Tank Dell's not going to come back this season. Okay. I was thinking, if they make a deeper run, can Dell come back? I don't think so. Anyways, you're going to see a lot of Christian Kirk this week. That's the expectation. I think we're going to see a lot of Christian Kirk, a lot of Jaden Higgins, a lot of Xavier Hutchinson. That's what I expect we're going to see quite a bit for the Texans this week. I just don't know how the hell they're going to move the ball on the Patriots all that much, though. The Patriots defense is good. It's really good. It's a really good defense, holding Justin Herbert to 3 points. And I know, again, everyone wants to bash Herbert. I'm not going to do so. I think that Chargers team is horrible. I think Herbert has been given such a bad draw in Los Angeles. It's to the point now where I really want to see Justin Herbert get a chance to play football somewhere else, because that's how horrible and that's how bad playing in Los Angeles is for the Chargers. I want to see Herbert get an actual shot, I don't know, with the Vikings or something like that. It doesn't have to be specifically Minnesota, but I mean, hell, if Harbaugh wants to make the swap and get McCarthy, it's still there. He could do he could do that Herbert for McCarthy, swap. The Patriots sacked Justin Herbert, 6-7 times? That was not but legitimately, I think it was either 6 or 7 times. They sacked Justin Herbert. It was absurd. They had him in hell. They're going to have Stroud in hell all game long, too, though. This Patriots defense is really good. You don't think of it as an elite defense like Houston, like Seattle, like Denver, but it's still very good, and Vrabel's done a phenomenal job with this Patriots team this season. The Patriots are going to find ways to score. Again, will this be a dominant offensive performance? No, because we know how good the Texans defense is. Still, they're going to find ways. Not going to be the highest of scoring games. It's going to be kind of a crappy game, I believe. I think the Patriots are going to edge out a victory. My guess is 17-10. It's going to be the final score. 17-13. It's going to be an ugly football game. The Patriots just find a way to win. I mean, hell, they scored 16 points last week in a 16-3 final against the Chargers. But I think Drake May is going to make, the right throws at the right time. I think what really gets forgotten a lot about Drake May is how young he is. I mean, he looks like such a, established and such a, veteran quarterback in the pocket. He's 23. Imagine what Drake May is going to be at 27 when he's actually in his prime. He looks like an established name in the pocket. He's more than comfortable in a postseason environment. Threw a pick early, but that wasn't entirely his fault. Thought Drake May played phenomenally well in the wild card. And again, that was his first postseason start, and he's 23. Drake May should win the MVP this season. They're going to give it to Stafford, but this is going to be a star in the NFL for a very long time. They have to give it to Stafford because, legacy. Anyways, we'll get to the Rams in a second. I think the Patriots are going to beat Houston. The Houston offense just really holds them back. I mean, you saw the stupid mistakes CJ Stroud made last week. The multiple fumbles. I'm not going to get on Stroud too much for the fumbles. Obviously, you got to get rid of the football earlier, obviously. But the interception, what the hell was that? What was that pick Stroud throws? Stroud throws a pick. I mean, it's just, I don't even know what to call it. He throws it. It was just such a weird ball he threw. You're in plus territory. At the worst, you're taking 3 points, and Stroud throws an interception on a 3rd and 8. I don't know. I think Stroud's poor QB play is going to hold the Texans back, and I remain adamant. This would be an elite playoff contender if they had a Lamar Jackson, if they had even a Justin Herbert. I believe the Texans would be making a huge run this year because of how great their defense is. I think Stroud holds them back. On top of that, he's missing his number 1 receiver, Nico Collins. He's missing his number 1 receiver. You're without Collins this week, who I, again, highly doubt is going to play. And now, okay, you take Christian Gonzalez off of him. Who's Christian Gonzalez going to be on now? He's going to be on Hutchinson. He's going to be on Christian Kirk. I mean, you're just taking away, again, you're likely going to take away an elite receiver with Gonzalez, who is in concussion protocol, but I don't know. Actually, he might not play either. Well, you might have 2 guys out with concussions. There's the matchup right in itself. No Gonzalez, no Collins. They're both out with concussions. I don't know. That Patriots pass rush is still good. The defense is good enough. I just don't see how the Texans score that many points. Yeah, they went to Pittsburgh and won. Good on them. The first ever franchise victory on the road in the postseason for the Houston Texans. Again, since 2002, the Texans have been a thing. They have not won a postseason game until last Monday. I don't think they go into Foxborough. I do not think they go into Foxborough and win. I'm going to take Drake May. I'm going to take the New England Patriots. I think they get it done. Will they win the AFC? I don't know. It's going to be weird. Again, the Patriots back in an AFC championship game without Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. That's going to look very weird. But I think the Patriots are going to get it done this week. I love the -3 for them here. I just don't think the Texans can compete with this team. Give me Drake May to win the football game for the Patriots, advancing and beating these Texans who scored 10 points through 3 quarters last week. And I know the Patriots kind of did the same thing, but still, I got to go with the Patriots here. They're at home. They should find a way. I'm just not a believer at all in Houston. I haven't been all year long, and I know they've won now, 10 consecutive games. Good on them. No Nico Collins this week. Stroud's not playing that well. Patriots will find a way to win. New England at home, -3 and -160 on the money line. The final divisional round game, obviously final playoff game before we get into the AFC and NFC championship games. The AFC championship game first next week, and then obviously the NFC championship game after. We're taking the Chicago Bears to beat the Los Angeles Rams. I am not sold on the Rams. I'm not. If the Rams win this game, I will tell you the Rams are going to go to the Super Bowl. I think the Rams will go to Seattle and win. Just like how I think the Bears are going to go into Seattle and win. That might sound like a crazy proposition, but I firmly believe if Chicago gets by the Rams here, they can and will go into Seattle and go to the Super Bowl, where they will lose to the Bills, or lose to the Broncos, or lose to the Patriots. The Bears, if I'm in the AFC, I am desperately cheering on the Chicago Bears to go to the Super Bowl. Or the Niners, but the Bears are obviously much more realistic than San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl in itself. I'm taking the Bears to beat the Rams, though. And obviously, okay, the cardiac Bears and the comebacks, they need to stop. I mean, well, okay, the comebacks are great. They need to play better football in the first half. And going for it a million times on 4th down, I mean, that was something. Ben Johnson diving deep into his Dan Campbell bag. Obviously, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Obviously, coming from the Dan Campbell coaching tree in Detroit. Ben Johnson finds a way to win. Caleb Williams finds a way to win. The Bears scored 25 fourth quarter points to win the football game, 31-27. One of the crazier comebacks I have ever watched. That was absurd stuff. And McManus obviously misses some big kicks, and obviously things continue to start to roll the way of the Chicago Bears. But I just look at this Rams game, guys. The Rams should have lost to the Carolina Panthers, I think. I mean, I don't know what the hell the Panthers were thinking on that last drive. And teams in the NFL these days get so stuck on, okay, we're up by 4, and we're going to play soft zone coverage the entire way because we can't allow the big play. But there's 3 minutes to go, 2.5 minutes to go. We're up 4. We just can't let anything over the top of our head. And we're gonna give you the 7-yard pass. But then, okay, Stafford's gonna take advantage of that. 7 yards, 8 yards, and all of a sudden now they're on the 30-yard line. And we look at the clock. Oh, well, there's only 50 seconds left. Yeah, and now the Rams score a big pass over the top. Stafford with a great ball and a great play by Colby Parkinson to score. And now the Panthers are looking at the clock. Oh, we have 38 seconds to get into field goal range. And obviously Bryce Young couldn't do that. Guys, the Carolina Panthers were up by 4 points against the Rams at home with 2.5 minutes left to play. The Panthers should have won that football game. The Rams find a way. Great on Matthew Stafford. I think the Rams offense is great. More so, though, that's how pitiful the game plan was and the strategy was for Carolina, giving the Rams everything underneath that entire drive. Guys, the Rams have not been a good road team this season. They are 5-4. They went 5-4 on the road in the regular season. They lost in Atlanta, choked in Seattle, lost earlier in the season on the road in Philadelphia, lost in Carolina, obviously the first time they played the Panthers. What makes you believe they're going to go into Chicago and beat the Bears? The fact that the Bears' comebacks can't continue to happen? What happens when the Bears, and I'm still waiting on this, what happens when the Bears put together 4 quarters of good football offensively? And what happens if the defense starts? I mean, the defense kept them in that game, obviously, right? And obviously, you know, the offense you need to score to win football games. But the Bears' offense and Caleb Williams aren't where they're at if it's not for the continued 3-and-outs the Bears' defense forces against Jordan Love. Again, the Bears missed on 4 fourth downs in that football game, and yet they still won. The Packers couldn't take advantage. A lot of the credit needs to go to that defense. So what happens now when the Bears put together 4 great quarters of offense? The Rams, I know, can keep up, but the Rams make some mistakes. Carolina's defense, not known for anything, Carolina. I guess defensively in their run game, the Panthers are known for this season. I'm taking the Bears' defense over the Panthers. I know it hasn't been great this season, but look what they did last week. I'm going to take what Chicago can do defensively. I am. Holding the Packers in the second half, holding the Lions to 4 quarters to just 19 points. I'm going to take what Chicago can do defensively. I really am. And I think they're going to give Stafford some problems. The Rams are going to win back-to-back road games. If they win this one, again, I'm going to be back on board. I'm going to be back on the hype train for Los Angeles. I really will. I think, you know, if they can win this game, this is a massive test. I think they can go into Seattle and win. I still don't trust Sam Darnold. And I won't trust Sam Darnold until I see him win a Lombardi. If he wins a Lombardi this season, I'm going to shut up about Sam Darnold. Until then, I'm going to still roll with the narrative that I don't think he can win a big football game. As for the Bears, man, Caleb Williams, the poise to come back in that one after making mistakes early, playing pretty pitiful in the first half. I mean, 28 total points in the second half, 25, obviously, of those come in the fourth quarter. It's a massive comeback for the Bears against, I understand, an injured Packers team and a Packers team that hadn't won a game in a month and a half, but a win is a win and a comeback is a comeback. I think they're beating Los Angeles here, guys. I think they're going to. The Rams are phenomenal offensively. But they just, you know, there was some spots in that Panthers game in the second half. I'm looking at this team, there's mistakes being made. Stafford's throwing bad picks. It's only one. But Stafford, and I know, again, you can say this about almost every quarterback in the NFL. But there's always one moment in every game where, you know, I'll say this. Stafford looks great for, you know, 85% of football games, 90% of football games. There's always that one mistake in every game, though, where Matthew Stafford makes that horrible mistake that you just look at and say, what the hell's going on? There's always one, and it's been like that pretty much Stafford's entire career, dating back obviously to Detroit. Hell, there was a lot of that in Detroit. But there's always a moment in every game where Stafford just makes that real dumb mistake, and you're like, this guy's the best quarterback in the NFL. This guy's the MVP, and he should be, you know, he should be considered for the most valuable player award. I believe, again, that's Drake May, but I don't know. He just makes some weird mistakes sometimes. Puka's obviously phenomenal. Nakua did drop a touchdown pass, and we do need to talk about that. I do need to say that and mention it. Like, you know, Los Angeles should have been up by more at halftime. Obviously, you know, big swing in that game when they couldn't get that fourth down. But Puka drops a touchdown pass early. Nakua still has a monster day. Had 5 grabs in the first quarter of that football game. Ultimately finishes with 10 catches for 111 yards and a touchdown. Nakua is the best receiver in the NFL. They get Devontae Adams back. Adams got 5 catches for 72 yards. It's one thing to go to Carolina and win. It's another thing to go to Chicago and win, though. You're going to the cold. Carolina, it's North Carolina. It's, you know, it's relatively cold, but it's not like it's going to be in Chicago. It's going to be freezing in Chicago this week. And I haven't really brought up the factor of weather just yet because ultimately I don't think they really matter in many of these games, except for this one. The weather in Chicago on Sunday, it's probably going to snow. Probably going to get a snow game in Chicago. When's the last time the Rams played a snow game in the playoffs? Yeah, they lost last year to the Eagles. Obviously, different scenario, different case, but I mean, it's going to be likely 15 degrees and snowing. It's going to start snowing in about the second quarter of this football game. So then that makes it more difficult, too. It's one of those games where first quarter, it's going to be just freezing, but it's not going to be cold. It's not going to be snowing, and then the snow starts to hit as the game goes on. Now you got to adjust to it. A team from Los Angeles is going to adjust to that. I mean, they were competitive last year against the Eagles, obviously, in the NFC, in the divisional round. They didn't win it, though. They're going to play a Bears team in snow, and I think Chicago gets it done. Obviously, again, we cannot rely on the cardiac Bears comeback. We can't have it. If we need a big comeback out of Chicago tonight or on Sunday night, we're probably screwed. But I think the offense comes out firing early. Again, there is the potential and the possibility of a comeback, and that's something that you always have to think about now with the Bears. Hell, remember the Chiefs run in 2020 where every single game they'd come back, and even when they were in the Super Bowl getting their ass handed to them by the Buccaneers, we're thinking, okay, wait, hold on. Like, when is that Chiefs comeback coming? We're starting to think that now with the Chicago Bears and what they've done throughout the course of the season, and obviously last round of the wild card round. Still, I think they beat Los Angeles. I think they're going to beat Los Angeles, and I think we finally get a full 4 quarters of phenomenal offense out of Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. Out of Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, I think the Bears finally put one together for 40 minutes, and I believe they're going to beat the Los Angeles Rams in the cold, in the snow. Give me Chicago to win. Give me Chicago to cover the 3.5 points. Give me the Bears to go to the NFC Championship game against the Seattle Seahawks. So again, my picks next week in the AFC Championship game, we've got the Bills and the Patriots, and in the NFC, we've got the Bears and the Seahawks. Folks, thank y'all for watching our divisional round predictions here for the second round of the NFL playoffs. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back later in the week for our best bets and next week for our NFC and AFC championship game predictions. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.